didn't announce it and stuff. Let's just see how many people can log on. But this is for the full moon in Pisces, and I feel like we have a lot to talk about because this energy is powerful. This whole week is going to be powerful. And if you were able to, and I hope you were able to watch the weekly astrology forecast, you'll know that that it's going to be very powerful this week. That the energy is there's just a lot of endings. There's a lot of facing your own hardships and stuff that maybe you hadn't been able to see yourself, and having to then make a decision. Okay, how do I make, what's up, James? How do I make a better decision? How do I make better decisions? How do I improve my life in this energy? And I'll tell you how, because the lifesaver in really difficult weeks, you'll find that the universe actually makes it really easy and really clear what the path is in really difficult weeks. And this is a week of very difficult energy. There's a lot of oppositions, and there's a lot of hard aspects, let's put it that way. Pluto and Chiron are upsetting a lot. And then even Uranus, and in some ways, it's opposing Venus and forcing us to change. It wants us to change, right? It wants change. And it's going to make it, at this point, painful if we haven't figured out how we need to change or what we need to get out of our lives. So, in really difficult weeks like this, when you read the charts, you see that there is usually one aspect that is the guiding light. It becomes really, really, oh, congratulations on your new job. So it's really, I'm sorry, hold on. It's really, give me a second. I just lost my train of thought. It becomes really clear which one of those aspects are, like, where's the guiding light? Where's the pathway through? Like, imagine a very chaotic week cosmically as being almost like a battleground or a war zone, right? And there's just this essence of, oh my God, how do I make it through without completely destroying my life? There will be one very clear path. In weeks like this, it's very easy to see the golden path, if you will. And that golden path is Jupiter's relationship to Mercury. It's got a very favorable aspect, which means one thing. You have mental clarity through your God space. Because remember, Jupiter isn't just planet of luck and optimism. Jupiter is God. Jupiter is Zeus. Jupiter is the way. Jupiter is the savior, the way forward. It's a very benefic energy. It's probably the most benefic energy, kind of the ruler of the benefic energy around. And then, we have Venus delivering benefic energy to us on our day-to-day. But ultimately, there's this Jupiter is the primary, like, beautiful, optimistic. It's your God space. It's your God space. Ultimately, what that means is that that Jupiter is helping you, will help you. God, whatever you consider that word to mean to you, whether it's the universe for you, whether it's multiple gods, whether it's he, she, it doesn't matter, because pronouns are too small to describe God anyway. So just whatever you want to use, it's your way, right? It's through your God space your mind will be cleared. And through your finding and realizing your belief and your faith in a higher power, you will then be able to hold on. Maybe I should, hold on. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted when comments pop up, so let me just try to refocus myself. Sorry. Once again, what was I saying? So you have this God's, so you have your connection to the divine, and it's almost like we could have very much gotten into too much of a cluster fuck in our heads, right? To a point where we can't really see the way out anymore. And the way out is by looking in, and by looking into how you are connected to the divine within you. And if you find, and by finding the divine within you, you will find the way out outside of you. And it will clarify your mind. It will clear up all those delusions you have, either delusions of grandeur or delusions of not being good enough. Whatever they are, it's your reconnection to the divine that will help clear your mind so that you can actually start seeing things for the truth. Remember, the truth isn't always pretty, right? Maybe the problem and the fog in your brain was that you're walking through a war zone and you're pretending like you're walking through, like tiptoeing down the yellow brick road, right? Like maybe that's the problem, right? And if not, maybe all you see is a war zone and you don't actually see like the yellow brick road or the path forward. So this is like a sense of finding the truth, seeing all the craziness and all the chaos, but also seeing the way forward. Like, this is the truth. There is a way forward. And that way forward is through, your intellect, your mind, basically being able to finally communicate with others. Very crystal clear communications if you will let them in, right? Or if you will hear them. Because some people say things without actually saying them. But this is the time when you'll be able to read between the lines and hear what they're saying and be able to either take a step back or take a step forward based on what you know. Happy birthday, Michelle Sandygate. Based on what you know they really, really are saying, like the subtext of things. So ultimately, that's kind of where we're living right now. We're living in this place of, if I connect and if I pray, and prayer can be whatever it is to you. It can be an actual prayer that you've learned through a religion, or it could be meditation, grounding yourself, making sure you go out, put your feet in the dirt, ground yourself, be by the water, especially today with this Pisces full moon. Be by the water, ground yourself near the ocean where the tides are coming in, ebb and flow. It's really important. You can ground yourself in the water. And another way to ground yourself in water energy is memory. And I don't recommend looking back often, but I do want to recommend looking back because that's how you ground yourself in different ways in different energies. I think earth is the clearest because you just put your feet in the dirt. Like, it's just connect to the actual physical plane of the earth. But in air energy, meditation and connecting to your breath is a way to ground yourself. When you connect to your breath, you actually ground yourself and you reset your rhythms. So that's a way of grounding yourself during air energy. During fire energy, a way of grounding yourself is by working on something, making something, creating something. That energy, that focus is really fire energy, right? That will help to ground you. But in water energy of this Piscean full moon, ground yourself in the memories. Ground yourself in where you have come from and how far you've come, and understand that you had the strength to get to where you are, and that will help ground you emotionally to start getting stronger emotionally and be able to see, even if I'm hurting, even if I'm suffering, even if I'm scared right now, even if I'm scared, I have still come so far. Look how far I've come. That is the only reason why I ever recommend people look back, okay? But ultimately, it's important to look back, to ground yourself in water energy so that you're not afraid of the emotions around you, so you can put the emotions that you're feeling into perspective. That's how you ground yourself in water energy. So right now it's very important to say how far I've come, and yes, do a check-in, do a realistic check-in of look how far I still have to go. There is still plenty around me that I need to clean up, but ultimately I've made it this far. are. So I shouldn't be as afraid as I am. And if I am afraid, I should realize I've overcome fear before. I've overcome a lot before. Let it imbibe you with the strength, emotional grounding to say, yes, I feel these things. And yes, my feelings tell me the truth, but they do not define my truth. They do not define my potential, right? Help yourself. In other words, grounding yourself in the emotions allows you to really objectively look at the emotions. That's that Jupiter Mercury blessing, right? To be able to objectively look at what you're feeling and how you've come to it. And now what can I do with it, right? How can I make this work for me, right? That's kind of what is happening right now. That's the way through. That Jupiter, I think it's Jupiter trine Mercury, is the way through right now, which is to just be objective and be clear and be talking to, communicate, like literally Jupiter, God, Mercury, communicating with God, or allowing God to communicate to you and remind you how you are loved unconditionally. And so even if you have like sunken yourself into a hole through a lot of really bad decisions and bad choices, and this may not be in your whole life, right? This may be in just an aspect of your life, right? If you've really sunken yourself into a hole, guess what? There's a way out. When I objectively look at my situation, there is a way out. And that way out is first and foremost by believing there's a way out. By knowing that I'm better than this and I'm worth more than this. And it's interesting because on a water moon, when you start talking like that, the emotions, the water that you think is rising to drown you is not. It's rising to lift you out of that hole so you can swim out. Right? It's gonna fill that hole so it can lift you out of that hole. Right? That's what's going to happen. And so ultimately, you need to be filled up again with faith, with the waters of faith, with the waters of love, with the waters of unconditional love. And once you put your emotions into perspective and see yourself as a conduit of the divine, if you cannot believe in yourself, believe in the divine in yourself. And if the divine loves you enough to still be there and to still live there, then ultimately there's something in you to love. Just grab onto that. That's your safety raft. That's your life raft, is knowing that there's still connection there, is knowing that there's still this unconditional connection and unconditional support coming from the divine to you. So ultimately, what do we do? I mean, first and foremost, I'm just gonna lay it on you guys. I'm gonna lay it on you guys. Pray. This is a beautiful day for prayer. And if you can, go sit by a body of water and pray. You know, what is going on? You can't see me? Why? Oh my God. Okay, hold on. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. It's working fine on my end. Also to remind you guys that there are super chats available. If anybody'd like to make a donation to the channel, that is absolutely welcome and appreciated. Further, the first place to start always is prayer. Always. Today it's most especially. And the prayer isn't like what I want. Here's what I want. The prayer is just actually listening and being able to like feel the divine inside you. Quieting your space enough to remember and appreciate all that you have. So gratitude is the place to start. Gratitude is the place, it's the place that you remember there are things to be happy and joyful about. Or if you're not having a trouble being happy and joyful, this is the place to like celebrate and live in joy and be in the presence of and the moment of gratitude, right? Like this is the time, this is the place, this is where it starts, right? Ultimately, that's where we begin today, is take time for prayer. Most of the prayers, I have to say, should be something sounding like, Dear God, please help clarify this for me. Dear God, I don't know how I got here, but I know I don't want to be here. Can you please help me with this situation? Dear God, universe, please take these burdens off of me. Take this confusion off of me. I'm going to hand this situation over to you because I don't know what to do about it. And I'm scared and it's scaring me. And I know I don't want to be here and I know it doesn't feel right, but I don't know the way out. Can you please help me find a way out? I need a way. I need help. I need help. So what I'm going to let you do is take the wheel. And don't ask for a whole shit ton of things, right? This isn't your Christmas list. This is the thing that is weighing your heart down the most. And hand it over to the divine and then believe. And what will help you tonight on the full moon is to write down that thing that is heaviest in your heart, that thing that you don't know how to handle yourself, and hand it over to the divine in prayer. And then take it and physically take the piece of paper, write it down. What you usually do is you'll write, thank you so much for this lesson that you've taught me through this situation. It's become too much for me. I've fallen behind in the lesson. I don't know what to make of it. Please offer me clarity and help me with this because I can't handle it myself. Thank you, divine. I'm grateful for your presence in my life. And then you send it off into the universe by burning that piece of paper over a fire-resistant pot or in a fireplace or in a fire pit of some sort. Burn it and send the ashes out into the full moon. Once it's not on fire, don't send it out, but send the ashes out once it's completed. You know, like once it's completely burned and it's just ashes, send those ashes out into the ether and allow the God space to take your concerns and take your worries, and then allow your faith to take over. Oh man, thank you so much. Let's stop everything for a second and say thank you so much. I'm going to mispronounce your name, but please don't take that personally. Zaniel? Thank you for always giving such great messages from a fellow Cancer. We got to stick together because it's really emotional right now. You always make me laugh and bring me perspective, sending you positive energy. Thank you so much for that donation. I am so grateful for you, and I'm sending positive energy right back. And ultimately, let me say this. It is a very challenging week, especially for those people who are highly affected by the moon. Cancerians are always going to be highly affected by the moon, and it's going to be very challenging. A lot of emotions are going to come up. What we can do, like I said, prayer, that's your first and foremost. Second, objectivity. Objectivity is going to be a little easier because of that Jupiter trine Mercury. And what we can do is look at our emotions when we feel them. Don't believe them, but honor them. Don't believe them ultimately, like believe them in that this is what I'm feeling right now, yes. But don't believe them as that they define my reality. Maybe I'm afraid. That's true. I honor my fear, but I don't allow it. But I objectively see, where'd that fear come from? Why am I afraid? Right? Understand the emotions that come up. Honor them by understanding them. And we can do that right now. We have the energy in the cosmos set up to help us through that way. So number one, prayer. Number two, objectivity. What is really making me feel these things? What is really, let me get down to the base, the root. What is really making me feel these things? The root of that, of course, is whatever you get down to. I've been struggling a lot lately, and the root of a lot of my struggles, even the root of my fears, is loneliness. And I found and I realized that I've allowed loneliness to help to make me compromise different aspects of myself that I normally would not have compromised. So, or I would never objectively want to compromise. And so honor that, like honor, honor in my case the loneliness. In somebody else's case it could be many different things, right. It's almost like whatever you're most ashamed of or most afraid of, you're going to have to look at and objectively honor it and realize, but that doesn't define your reality. There's lots of different options out here, right, in order for us to really help ourselves, as well as connect, as well as be loved. There's so much love if we'll allow it in, right. There are many options, but you don't get anywhere by denying things. So that objectivity is going to be really helpful, because then we can understand and see what we're feeling and what is that base of our fear, our damage, what is drumming up most of our fear. And then what we can do is start to understand it, start to understand where it's coming from, and start to decide, well, what can I do about this? Like what can I add into my life so that I don't feel these things? So my mind goes to other places, so my heart is engaged. What can I start doing now? It's like, okay, we have options, and that objectivity. Wow, Wicked Pixel, what's up, man? It's so good to see you on here. Thank you so much for your donation, Wicked Pixel. You rock. You rock. You rock, you rock, you rock, guys. I really appreciate it. It's like, yeah, so what kind, like, after we see and we've decided, like, we pray, and then we identify, and now we can start making a goal. It's not a plan. I say don't make plans. Set goals and then prepare to improvise, and keep your goals in focus at all times. But don't make a plan, because plans are actually the setup for expectations, and they're the setup for disappointments. If I don't stick to my plan, I guess I messed up. Life is a game of improvisation. So set your goals and focus on your goals. This is my objective. This is my goal. I'm going to keep working toward it. I might have to go here. I might have to go around the bend. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to stay focused. My goal stays there. My goal was to get a bachelor's degree. It took me 10 years to do it. I was a single mom, but you have to stay focused on it, and you have to finish it, and you have to complete it. Don't let things go uncompleted. So another 2 point, 1, pray, 2, objectively identify, 2, let's go to 3. 3 is set your goals for what you now can do about your situation once you've identified it. And then 3.0 or 3A is, oh my God, I've been losing focus easily. It's easy in a Pisces moon to lose focus, by the way, to let yourself get distracted, which is okay. But ultimately it's, oh God, let me think, because it was a good point. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. It has something to do with, next steps. I know that. It didn't have something to do with making a plan, but it had something to do with next steps. I don't remember. I don't want to hold up the conversation, but it definitely had to do with next steps after 3. After you identify, after you have objectively identified, and then after you've set your goals, had to do with next steps. What would be the next step after that? Because I don't want to plan, but I do want to start striving. Let's see what I would do in that situation, because I totally lost the thought. But what I'm going to start to do is do some research. That's what I'm going to start to do. I'm going to start collecting information. That's what I'm going to start, like honestly, that's what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start collecting information about what can I do about certain aspects, like about certain things, about where to put my energy and where to like place my focus, because recapturing that focus is going to be essential. It is going to be difficult while the moon is in Pisces, though. You see what keeps happening to me. This isn't Mercury retrograde, though we're in the shadow period for Mercury retrograde. This is the Piscean full moon. This is that overwhelming Piscean energy that basically makes it very easy for us to get distracted. But it's also in some ways uber focused, because even though we're distracted by technicalities, we're kind of uber focused on the feeling and the way and trusting. So the way you can focus on this full moon is not necessarily through intellect, but it's through faith. Faith. Anytime you're in a lot of that Neptunian Piscean energy, faith is absolutely essential to everything that you do. So let's review once again. The step one, we're going to, I forgot that too, but I know I've mentioned it here. Step one, step two, step three. Step one, pray. There you go. Step two, objectively identify. Like, apply the objectivity to your emotions. Look at your emotions unemotionally, so that you won't judge them. Look at your emotions without judgment. Piscean energy is very much that way. It's so accepting of emotions that it can be objective about them because it's not afraid of them. So allow yourself to look at your emotions objectively. And then step three is, I don't know, do you guys remember? This has been my brain. I've been going through a lot. I apologize. But step three is, form your goals. Form your goals. Form your goals. Based on not judging yourself, based on finding that love through prayer, based on faith. Find your goals and say, well, this is where I want to be next year. This is my goal. This is my goal for next year. And make them attainable goals. Like, I know a lot of people say, well, I want to be in a relationship next year. I recommend you not doing that, because relationships aren't just about you, they're about somebody else. Wow. Latressa, Team Cancer, thanks for the great readings. You're welcome for the great readings. Thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful, guys. I really appreciate it. So ultimately, I say stay away from the whole relationships, or like I say I want to have $1 million next year. In this new moon, in this full moon, what I would say is set those goals as in emotionally. I want to be happy next year. I want to be in a place where I am really, really super confident in who I've surrounded myself with and what I'm engaged in every day. I want to be in a place where I feel emotionally stable, where I feel my life is stable. Like, set those intentions based on the moon, right? Based on what do you want to plant the seeds for right now, so that when harvest comes around next year, this is what you can be picking off the trees, right? Like, you can be harvesting this. And this sense of forgiveness, I gotta say, let that be, I don't know if that should be step 4 or step 1. Forgiveness, forgiving yourself for disappointing yourself. A lot of times, that's what starts to create the divide in internally in us, in that we're so ashamed. We start to feel shame in, how did I let myself get here? How did I bring myself back here? How did I let this happen to myself again? How did I let this person sneak into my life? How did I let this job go this far? How did I let myself, who cares? Who cares how you let yourself? Acknowledge, this place right now is not where I want to be. And I know that the disturbance in my soul, the misery that I'm feeling, all of that is because I know I deserve better. Because there is a huge gap between what I desire, which is what I know will make me happy, and where I am right now. And I deserve what I desire. I deserve happiness. So ultimately, there's a part of me that misery is based on self-esteem, because there's a part of me that's still very much thriving, that's arguing with the rest of me, saying, you need to stop settling. You deserve better than what you have now. Believe in that voice and learn to forgive yourself for making the mistakes that drew that chasm, that created that chasm between those two realities, right? Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Just forgive. Forgiveness is let go. Let go of trying to obsess over how. Just acknowledge this isn't right for me and I'm changing. I am allowing myself to not continue in the same cycle that's going to compound my misery. I allow myself to change, which means I allow myself to step up and make the changes that I need to say no to who and what I need to reject what I need to clear myself out, to give myself the space, to cry, to start healing the way that I need to, knowing that, you know what, I've fallen into this position, I've fallen into this situation because of a vulnerability that I had. And everybody's vulnerable sometimes. And sometimes vulnerability is one of the most beautiful things. Other times vulnerability is a way other people come in and exploit us. And ultimately, we've got to stop it. We've got to, and we only can stop it by forgiving ourselves. I make this really extreme example of, if you've been beaten by your spouse for 15 years straight, you are under no obligation to do it for 15 years in a day. You can wake up tomorrow, but you can wake up tomorrow and walk away, or you can sneak away in the middle of the night. You are under no obligation to let it go any further. The problem is people can't forgive themselves. They become disappointed in themselves. Well, how did I let it get so far? So the only way I can justify it is pride settles in, fear settles in, and the only way I can justify having let it got so far is because I'm strong enough, because I can take it, because I'm going to make these excuses that justify me letting it get this far, instead of just taking the hit and crying and being like, I can't stand what I've allowed to happen to my life, and feeling the shame and letting it flow. Feelings are waves, right? Feelings are supposed to flow. Once it sits in, it's not a feeling anymore. It's a sickness. It's a mental illness. Your heart allows things to flow. Your brain will trap things there to keep your heart sick. So you gotta let your brain purge, forgive, let go of that thought, which is gonna undam that river and let those emotions flow out. There's going to be a lot of crying and a lot of tears today, right? And that's going to be clearing you out, healing you. Tears heal you. Tears are healing. That's what they're designed to do. So feel it to heal it. Feel how ashamed you become of yourself, how scared you are that you don't have the strength to get out again. Feel it, and then realize, oh my God, without all that blocking me up, now I have the ability to, guess what? I can make a different choice. I can do something different. I can be somewhere else. I can go somewhere else. I can make different fucking choices. I don't have to make this happen. Now, I don't have to keep justifying what I've justified. I will not let this happen another day. Maybe 15 years have gone by. Maybe it's just 15 months. Maybe it's just 5 days. It doesn't have to be that amount of time plus a day. This is the day we wake up and allow ourselves to heal. And up through Wednesday, we have this beautiful pocket of energy to be able to make those choices ourselves and let it go ourselves. When the moon slips into Leo and that pride really starts to trap us again, ultimately what's going to happen is the universe is going to clear it out. Oh, it's going to clear it out. It's going to clear it out. Pluto's going to clear it out by itself, but something really, really painful might happen. Because at that point, Pluto just don't give a fuck. Pluto just don't care. Pluto could care fucking less. Doesn't care at all. At this point, Pluto was like, I've given you enough chances. I've given you enough choices. I've given you enough attempts. I've given you enough time. I'm not doing it. And so I'm just going to clear it out. I'm going to take that wall down. And if you're still shuddering near that wall, it'll crush you. It'll crush you, right? Or there's just that sense of getting to, and I said this, and I hope you guys can watch the weekly astrology forecast, because I said toward the end of the week especially, we're going to be so trapped in pride and fear that we're going to be on this train headed off this broken track, off this cliff for imminent destruction, and think, well, the only way that I can get off this is to derail the train now. Like lesser of the two evils. I have a better chance of derailing the train and hoping I survive the crash, as opposed to I got to keep riding this train. I'm definitely going to lose if I let the train go off the track, right? But that's only your pride and fear. That's going to close up your mind, close you off to God. Remember that connection between Jupiter and Mercury, closing you off to that God space and making you only see those extremes. And that's where the truly destructive stuff starts to happen. Because Pluto is getting this shit done. This train is no good no more. The direction is no good anymore. It's got to stop. Pluto's already taken the track out, right? Everybody on board got to get off board. You've been given the stops to get off board. So how do we stop this train? Well, logic would say pull the brake right now so it can slow down. And yeah, people will be uncomfortable, but they won't be injured, or they'll be injured but not a big deal, right? But it's that pride that's going to set in our brain, blocking our God space, blocking our faith at the end of this week, that's going to say, I have no choices. I've just got to make the extreme choices. And that's just going to be a crapshoot. If you're lucky, you'll make it through. If you're not, you won't. And I'm not saying like actual physical death to people, but I am saying like whatever you're experiencing, this disappointment or this trauma in your life, or not even trauma, this hardship in your life, that's the part, like say it's your job, right? By the end of this week, you'll basically, if you've denied it and you haven't accepted it and you haven't done anything about it to clear it out, because this full moon energy was really Sunday, today, and Tuesday. So by Wednesday, what hasn't been cleared out, that pride is going to start to set in, right? That's not a Leo moon. No, because we're in Pisces. It's the Aries moon. That's what it is. Pisces, and then Aries moon comes, and that's going to really fuck us up, because that's when we like to become overreactionary, overcombative, start to become really defensive about things. So ultimately it's like we have this beautiful expanse of the Pisces moon, keep us connected to God, let us purge without judgment, forgive ourselves, forgive others, and move on and realign to our happy space. Then we get, until we come bam into that Aries moon that's just going to like stick us with that pride, stick us with that paranoia, stick us with that overreactionary impulsivity, and ultimately set us up for a lot of destruction, right? So I'm just telling you in terms of timing and emotional like mentality, when this stuff we've had all last week to sort of wake up and realize and do something to get off the train at stops it was making, right? We had all last week to learn self-love again and realize we don't even have to be on this train, that there are stops along the way. I can get off right here, right? I'll call somebody, I'll use a payphone, I'll borrow somebody's, there's ways out. If you have self-love and you're connected to God, you'll see those ways out. The problem is when you've disconnected from that faith, that love of God, and it just becomes about reacting in pride and being prideful and being stuck in that fear, and ultimately that's the destruction. That's when everything really comes to pieces. But I can tell you right now, this train is done. This path is not going to be something you're allowed to continue on. So you make the fucking decision. You make the fucking decision now to forgive yourself. To forgive yourself especially, and get back to, I am loved, I do deserve better, and this isn't going to continue because I have a right to let it not continue. Like, this is it. And that could be, your love life might be great, your friendships might be great, but it could be your work, right? Ultimately, this is about going in and saying what you need to say to your boss, maybe even handing in your resignation, maybe giving yourself 2 weeks notice, maybe giving a month notice, right? Those kind of things. Because if you're really miserable and you see that this is not working out, what's going to happen if you don't? Well, the company's going to be shut down, the building is going to be shut down, or you're going to be fired and you're not going to have a choice, right? There's just that sense of it's going to end. So take control of the ending, acknowledge it, because if you don't, you could get steamrolled as a part of it. And that's really what's happening in the energy this week. And this week, even in the beginning of this week, comes with sacrifice. And I said that in the weekly astrology forecast. Last week, we were given the option to find the self-love in us so that we didn't have to sacrifice anything of ourselves to get out of an uncomfortable situation. But now we're in a situation where we're going to have to sacrifice something, whether it's money, whether it's time. In the beginning of the week, it'll be something that you can easily recoup. Toward the end of the week, it may be something that you don't even want to lose. Toward the end of the week, it's going to be like the desperation, that the moon and Aries energy is going to be like gnawing away out of desperation. I can only find one way out of this trap, and that's to gnaw my own leg off. But you're still a fucking wolf without a leg, bleeding. But there's more of a survival than staying in the trap. Like, that's not where you want to end up in that emotional mentality. You want to clear all this up and just be like, oh, look, maybe I don't even have to step into the trap. I may have to go the sacrifice. Maybe I'll have to go the long way. I'll have to work a little extra hard. It'll take me an extra day. It'll take me an extra year. But I still won't walk into the trap, and I'll still have my leg, and I can still avoid this. But the sacrifice will be the little extra time because you've gotten off the path. Okay, if you're not filled with pride and fear, you'll be able to take that. You'll be like, yeah, I have gotten off the path. And, okay, now I got to walk a little bit extra. But ultimately, I still have my leg. I still didn't fall into a trap. I'm still good. I still got choices. But later on this week, it's going to be like, oh, no. I'm going to keep walking in this direction. I'm going to keep walking. Snap, trap. Now what do I do? And really, there is another option. And that option is still to call to God and ask for help. And say, I've fallen into this trap. I'm in such pain. Please, please help. Call for help. Call for help. It's only the pride and the fear that'll keep you from calling for help, because you don't want to see anybody catch you in a trap, having been that stupid, right? But call for fucking help. But call for help to the first of all, your God, whatever you believe in. Acknowledging that I'm still loved by someone and I deserve some help. And in real life, it could be actually calling the police, or actually calling the ambulance, or actually calling these people who are ready to help you. Not people who you're necessarily just comfortable with helping you, but people who are ready to help you, because that means that you're ready to acknowledge you actually need the help yourself. Right? You're not just calling the person you feel safe with who will enable you. You're calling the people who will, hold you accountable for your shit, but they have the actual knowledge of how to get you out of the trap and maybe save that leg. So you do have that third option if you can connect to faith, but it's going to get like 100% more difficult toward the end of this week. That's just an FYI that you guys got to know. I'm going to get offline for you. I'm going to leave you with those steps and those suggestions. I hope you have a beautiful full moon in Pisces. And I hope you let yourself cry and you honor those emotions, and you know that you're good enough, and you know that it's right, and you know that you have a right to do it, and you have a right to forgive yourself, and you have a right to move on, and that you are still absolutely beautiful and absolutely loved, not only by the ultimate power, the universe itself, by God itself, but in some ways there's part of you that still loves you, that's begging you, that's making you miserable because it's saying you deserve better than this. I'm making you miserable because remember, you deserve better than this. So there's still a part of you that loves you too. And it's on this beautiful moon that we have the opportunity to feel it, to heal it, to objectively feel our emotions and see them clearly so we can forgive and let go and move on. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who donated. I'm really grateful and appreciative once again to everybody who donated. That makes the channel thrive, that makes the channel grow. It makes Born Without Boundaries Tarot / Astrology Motivation. It makes those both possible. So I'm grateful for you. I pray that you're grateful for yourselves. Enjoy this beautiful moon. Bye, guys.